Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the International Webinar Series on Holistic Health, Well-being and Sustainable Development 2025, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 77 years of independence and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 and Viksit Bharat at 2047 in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute, Center for Art, Sciences and Wellbeing as part of awareness and campaigns. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
Kurutvam kalyanam arogyam dhanasampadam Shubham kurutvam kalyanam arogyam dhanasampadam Shatru buddhi vinashaya Deepajyotirnamostute Deepajyotirnamostute Shubham kurutvam kalyanam arogyam dhanasampadam Shubham kurutvam kalyanam arogyam dhanasampadam
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's commemorations. Today, we are commemorating International Day of Women in Diplomacy on 24th June every year, with the theme eliminating structural barriers to women's leadership in diplomacy. Despite global commitments to gender equality, women remain significantly underrepresented in diplomacy and political leadership, with recent trends showing troubling regression. The Human Rights Council and the UN Women both highlight systemic barriers, which include discrimination, gender stereotypes, and political violence that continue to exclude women from high-level decision-making. Gender norms often confine women to soft portfolios, while critical ministries remain male-dominated, and the number of gender-balanced cabinets and equality-focused ministries is shrinking. So this marginalization is compounded by increasing violence against women in politics, both online and offline. So deterring participation and eroding hard progress. In response, bold action is needed, from implementing quotas and leadership appointments to mentorship and anti-harassment measures to achieve meaningful equal representation and uphold the promises of the Beijing Platform and Sustainable Development Goals. So in 2025, the global landscape of diplomacy is undergoing a transformative shift, with women at the forefront of this change. Women diplomats are uniquely positioned to bridge the gap between the national legislative priorities and global diplomatic initiatives. Their leadership is advocating for women's rights, peace, and security, contributes significantly to shaping foreign policies that reflect democratic values. As parliaments continue to champion gender equality, the collaboration between legislative bodies and diplomatic missions becomes essential in fostering a global environment where women and girls can thrive. Simultaneously, national parliaments are becoming vital partners in reinforcing women's diplomatic engagement, leveraging legislative authority to demand gender balance in foreign missions and multilateral platforms. Through committee work and foreign policy oversight, lawmakers are advocating for the institutional changes needed to support women in global decision-making roles. Women diplomats today not only represent their nations, they embody the growing alignment between domestic gender equality goals and international diplomacy. Their expanding presence symbolizes a crucial information Diplomacy is no longer reserved for the few, but increasing shape by the diverse voices, the champion peace, justice, equity for all. So, women and global diplomacy, as we all know, are realists, but they are also realists who, while they keep their feet on the ground, also keep their eyes on far horizons. Global norms and standards play a key role in establishing benchmarks for the international community to abide by and for the countries to implement. Historically, diplomacy has been the preserve of men. It's a time to recognize and celebrate the ways in which women are breaking barriers and making a difference in the field of diplomacy. As of 2014, 143 countries quarantined guaranteed equality between men and women in their constitutions. Another 52 countries have yet to make this important commitment. Advocating for increased representation of women in key decision making positions will greatly shape and implement multilateral agendas. Between 1992 and 2019, women represented 13% of negotiators, 6% of mediators, and 6% of signatories in peace process worldwide. Gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls also will make a crucial contribution to progress across all sustainable development goals and targets. The systematic mainstreaming of a gender perspective in the implementation of the 2030 Agenda is crucial, especially since SDG 5 calls for women's equal participation in decision making at the UNGS 76 session. The General Assembly, by consensus, declared the 24th of June each year to be International Day of Women in Diplomacy. By the resolution 76 by 269, the Assembly invited all member states, United Nations organizations, non governmental groups, academic institutions, and associations of the women diplomats where they exist to observe the day in a manner that each considers most appropriate, including through education and public awareness raising. So, drafted as a common standard of achievement for all peoples and nations, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, UDHR, for the first time in human history, spells out basic civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights that all human beings, men and women alike, should enjoy. The declaration of a milestone document in the history of human rights, drafted by representatives with different legal and cultural backgrounds from all regions of the world. Women were key contributors who played essential parts in shaping the document. The power of women peace leaders, women's inclusion in peace building process processes is essential for long-term success. This is proven gender equal participation contributes to longer and lasting peace after conflict. Susan Sibit, 32, is an accomplished lawyer and advocate for women's participation in governance and leadership. For decades, her home country of South Sudan has been overwhelmed by conflict because of the tireless advocacy of leaders like Sibit. South Sudan's peace protest process engaged a coalition of 40 women's organizations in peace talks, leading to the inclusion of gender responsive provisions in the agreement. As of January 2025, only 25 countries have a female head of state or government. Women make up to 22.9% of cabinet ministers worldwide, with underrepresentation in key areas like foreign affairs and defense. 113 countries without a female head of state in 2024. 113 countries worldwide have never had a woman serve as head of the government. As of 2024, women made up only 21% of UN permanent representatives, with just 7% of all ambassadors since 1947 being women, and 73 countries having never appointed a female representative. A female representation in diplomatic missions continues to lag behind men, especially in top ranking roles. Today is also commemorated as International Fairy Day. Which is celebrated every year on June 24th. The idea behind the day is to appreciate and uplift the celebration of mythical creatures such as fairies and to use their tales to teach valuable lessons to children. The concept of having a utopia where there are fairies and mythical creatures and that anything can happen drives the children to aim for the things that are considered impossible by the current system. So, with the confidence that they can do it, so in demonstrating the belief that fairies exist, we celebrate International Fairy Day. Fairies are mythical creatures that are said to possess magical powers, generally considered to be female. Fairies have been a significant part of the Renaissance period in Europe, having different origin stories from different parts of the world. There are different versions hailing from different places to describe the existence of fairies. Some call them the children of Eve, some call them fallen angels, and some consider them to be the sisters of elves. The devil has always been in the details. Today is also commemorated as International or Inti Raymi Day, which is a festival of the sun, is an annual religious celebration held every June 24th in Peru in honor of the Incan sun god. Inti Raymi is a festival that celebrates the winter solstice and Incan New Year. It is primarily held in Cusco, the celebration, which is perhaps the most important day for the Incan Empire, sees a variety of cultural activities taking place around the city to honor their Incan ancestors. So the Inti Raymi was first celebrated as a celebration by Incan Emperor Huiti, believed to be between 1412 and 1430, to commemorate the winter solstice, the day when the sun is farthest from the sun, and to honor the ancestors of the past. The Incas last celebrated Inti Raymi as an independent empire in 1535 before the arrival of Spanish. Today, the tradition of celebrating the festival is maintained by theoretical and cultural showcases that are charged with mysticism and spirituality. Celebrators typically hold dances, sing songs while making offerings to the sun god. The main celebrations are held in the Peruvian city of Cusco. It involves a multi-act historical reconstruction ritual that involves residents costumed in traditional Inca garb descending onto the Cusco's Temple of the Sun and Plaza de Armas. Observers take up specific roles in the theatrical display. The final act of the ritual involves a 4-hour prayer of the Sac-Human fortress. The prayers are conveyed in the traditional Quechua language, and a sacrifice is stimulated for a shaman to predict the state of coming future. So during the Spanish conquest, Viceroy Francisco de Toledo outlawed Inti Raymi celebrations due to it being associated with primitivism, paganism, and contradictory to the Catholic faith. It was revived in 1944 with the help of Peruvian actor and writer Faustino Espinosa Navarro. Navarro's fascination with the tradition compelled him to promote it as an important national public holiday. Today is also commemorated as Farmers' Day in Peru, or Dia del Campesino is celebrated in Peru on 24th June every year as a tribute to the hardworking local farmers that provide food to the table of every Peruvian. Observers celebrate this day by holding agriculture fairs, cultural displays, and of course, the sharing of food. In the Amazonian region, Farmer Day is also celebrated in tandem with the feast of San Juan Bautista or San Juan the Baptist Day as a nod to Catholic tradition that was instilled by Spanish missionaries. Today is also commemorated as Fix Your Windows and Doors Day on every 24th June. It is a day dedicated to doing this home maintenance tasks that might otherwise go neglected. Keeping your doors and windows in good condition adds the value of your home. Today is also commemorated as Armed Forces Day in UK on June 24th, marks a special day for the country's sovereignty and its interests. Each year, noteworthy and outstanding parades and marches are organized at the country's landmarks. Even though Armed Forces Day is an official event, it is not a public holiday as businesses and offices remain open. One of the goals of the day is to recognize the services and sacrifices of the country's forces. The soldiers and cadets train day in and day out to protect the citizens of the country from all sorts of dangers. Their efforts are lauded by everyone, including politicians and celebrities. Another aim of the day is to raise funds for those injured in the line of duty. Today is also commemorated as Jani in Latvia on June 24th, which is an annual celebration, commemorates the summer solstice. It is a day that celebrates renewal, fertility, and hope of good luck based on ancient folk traditions. On this day, Latvians partake in rituals that represent rebirth and new life. It is considered to be one of the most important celebrations in the Latvian calendar, as many leave the cities to bask in tranquility of the countryside. Today is also commemorated as Midsummer on June 24th, and it's a day that is meant for us to appreciate all the gifts that nature has given us. The summer solstice marks the longest day of the year that lands on June 20, but because the old Julian calendar marked it differently, the date for Midsummer Day remains June 24th. The holiday originates from Sweden, but it is celebrated all over the world and may use the weekend closest to the date for traditional festivals. Midsummer started as a pagan ritual for fertility and successful harvest during the Stone Age. The pagans believed that their plants had healing properties during the summer solstice, and they honored the day, showering reverence to nature with rituals. The dance around maypoles, fashioned garnets, and herbs were picked up on Midsummer's Eve, and bonfires were used to keep away evil spirits. It was said that spirits were free to roam the earth when the sun was turning towards the southern hemisphere. Today is also commemorated as National Lee Day, which is celebrated on June 24th each year. Lee is a popular gender-neutral surname in China. Today is also commemorated as National Pralines Day in US, that celebrates a nut-based creamy confection that can be enjoyed in an assortment of ways. Pralines are a smooth and sweet treat made with nut, sugar, and sometimes cream. They can be used in cookies, candy, and as a paste, as they are often made with pecans or almonds. The name is believed to have been inspired by French sugar industrialists, the French diplomat Caesar Guy de Choiseul, come to the basis Presley, who used a powder called praline made by grinding sugar-coated nuts. Today is also commemorated as National Relationship Equity Day in US, which is annually observed on June 24th. This day seeks to address relationship issues, especially ones that arise due to gender roles. The concept of assigning gender roles in relationship is becoming disturbing. This day aims to spell out the importance of the suspension of the popular gender role phenomenon and adopting the more welcoming, albeit unpopular, gender equality concept. The day is also about striking a balance between relationship roles and the freedom to exercise the individual skills of each couple to improve their relationship and their personal lives without restrictions. National Relationship Equity Day was first introduced globally by renowned relationship coach Dr. Olfami Outgan in 2019, true to his name. Ogenjimi introduced the day to further extend his reach by not only improving the health of many relationships, but also by eradicating the genesis of most of the problems. The famous coach is an advocate of eradicating inequalities evident in relationships with introduction of National Relationship Equity Day. He took his advocacy a step further and sought to establish a concept that isn't popular, but that would surely eliminate a lot of problems between couples. While advocates have been campaigning for gender equity in relationships since the 20th century, relationships equity is a recent concept. It sprouted from the mistakes and shortcomings that were realized in applying the concept of gender equality, while equality in relationships advocates removing discrimination in assigned gender roles between couples, an act that does not ensure happiness in relationships. Relationship equity looks at the situation whereby each couple is assigned roles that they are best suited for and would happily carry out. Within the couple 3 years that the National Relationship Equity Day has celebrated, many couples have imbued the concept of equity in their relationship, and millions of them now take part in the observing the day. Today is also commemorated as Female Lab Day in US each year, and its ultimate antidote to the classic summer conundrum. How do I work out without working up a sweat and stay cool at the same time? To the ones for which may not apply, it's still a day for you. Since swimming for just floating is fun for everyone, since humans are not yet able to fly, swimming is the next thing. Just think back to the last time you were in the pool or any other water body and felt that weightless feeling of the water just carrying you. If the trip down memory lane is not convincing enough, perhaps the thought of staying cool without having to use up extra electricity will appeal to you more. Whatever your reasons for taking a dip, it's a great way to beat the heat. Get some exercise in all the while having a splashing good time, especially with those you love. Today is also commemorated as Upcycling Day in US on June 24. In US, which is an international celebration of repurposing old items and upcycling them so that they are not wasted. Upcycling is a process of repurposing old recycled items made of metal, glass, or wood into something new, thus giving the material a new lease on life. There are probably dozens or hundreds of items in your house that can be upcycled, so why not take advantage of this day to do so? Old is gold, and gold never goes out of style. Upcycling was coined in 1994 by two German engineers, William McDough and Michael Braungart, to describe the remodification and reengineering of old items so that they can be reused. And thus given a second life. The idea of recycling was already in place, with scrap metal, glass, and paper being recycled. What makes upcycling and recycling so different? Recycling is a process of destroying waste and repurposing it to make something new from it. Example, scrap metal is melted, processed, and then used to make a new item. Upcycling is a unique in that it uses waste as its current stage or creates something new, such as flower vase made from an empty bottle of wine. The benefit of upcycling is that you can give a raw material a second life without spending a lot of money on recycling, and you can also meet a current need with what you make. Since the term upcycling was coined, the word had spread and the people have begun to use their waste in novel ways. The bigger trend was noticed in 2002 when it was finally decided to celebrate upcycling as a public awareness initiative to encourage the conservation of metal, glass, paper, and anything else that can be reused. Soon after, many other businesses followed suit, and with the rise of social media, a slew of new websites such as YouTube popped up offering ideas for repurposing common scrap. Since then, this day has been observed as a day to look for items that can be upcycled into useful items while having fun being creative and conserving precious raw materials. So with this, we shall end today's commemorations. Thank you everyone for joining us. In today's commemorations, we request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form, which has been raised in the form of votes. So see you all tomorrow at the same time with the same joining link with different commemorations. Take care. Good night.